So, welcome to today's MindPrime Podcast. And today's episode, I'm super excited. We're going to talk about miracles and self-healing. So, I would like you today to listen with an open mind because this episode may challenge your belief systems and your logic, even. So, today we have on a great guest, and his name is the Miracle Man. Miracle Man, Baba Sam, all the way from New York City. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, it's really great to be here with you today. It's a pleasure.
Oh, you're welcome. So I have so many questions. I probably have 100 for you. But first, I would like you to sort of explain to the listeners a bit about your miracle itself. And if there was a time in your journey that you just went, wow, I'm actually healing myself.
Yeah, so my story is different. It defies logic. Well, it's basically a miracle. It defies logic. But to wind back a little bit, at age 6, I was run over by a van. So this created a lot of damage. And what they didn't realize at that time that they realize and understand now is when you're very young and you experience severe head trauma,
Mhm.
it can really lead to bipolar. They can really define that today, like early childhood accidents can lead to bipolar.
Mhm.
So I was going through school, high school as an undiagnosed bipolar. It was a very challenging time because my moods were all over the place. I had really no mental stability. Then I was eventually diagnosed in my 20s when I was suicidal. But
Wow.
at that time, yeah, I was suicidal because I took my thoughts as truth. Life is too hard, life is too difficult. And we get into this mental rat race, I guess you could call it. Then from there, I had chronic migraines because I was really stressed, overwhelmed. So I had these chronic migraines. I had psoriasis on a third of my body because I was once again really stressed, overwhelmed. Then the psoriasis got into my joints. So I had psoriatic arthritis. Then there's a few more things, but at age 37, I lost the ability to walk. And when I
Wow.
lost the ability to walk, I just had the worst migraine of my life. And next thing I know, I'm in the hospital. Well, they determined it wasn't a migraine because sometimes a migraine can have some pretty significant neurological, impact. But they discovered it wasn't a migraine. They did all the scans and all of this because eventually they found out I had multiple sclerosis, and there wasn't like one test to say, oh, this is what you have. It's like multiple tests. So I was in a hospital for, I think, 2 weeks doing every single test they could possibly think of.
Bet.
Once they figured it out that, oh, you have multiple sclerosis, then they sent me to rehab. So in this whole journey, I walked into the hospital and I left rehab in a wheelchair and a walker.
Wow. That must be really hard to go from thinking you had a migraine to multiple sclerosis. It's quite a condition to have.
Yeah, so it is. So that was my reality. I lived within this state, always wondering what else is going to go wrong for 7 years because dealing multiple sclerosis, bipolar, dealing with everything. So I had really no concept that I could heal myself. I had absolutely zero because it was too big of a mental leap for my mind to
Mhm.
accept. Because
It's the
everything you,
logical, really, right? Most
right?
people
Because
think it's the logical.
yeah, because everything you read about bipolar, multiple sclerosis, people that have chronic migraines, basically any chronic illness, it's usually a lifelong sentence for most people that they have for their whole life. So it was never for me trying to heal myself. I simply read about meditation one day, and one of the benefits of meditation was inner peace. I'm like, I need inner peace because
Yeah.
I was really stressed out, really overwhelmed with life. And this book I was reading on meditation really was only a page or two that actually discussed meditation, which was good. Because you told my bipolar OCD brain the rules of meditation, I would have never left the mind. I've been like,
Wow.
am I sitting properly? Am I
Yeah.
sitting? Am I breathing
Am I
properly?
doing it right?
Am I doing it right? I've been so focused on am I doing it right, and that would never get me out of the mind. So basically, the instructions in this book were to to be comfortable, to be relaxed, put on some soothing movement music, and just to relax. So I was like, okay, I can relax, I can do that. But I also had the impression that means that when meditation means you stop thinking, because there was really no instructions in this, and I didn't have a spiritual teacher or anything like
Yeah,
this.
that's a common, what people think that still now that you have to
Yeah,
stop thinking.
Yeah, well, that's one thing too. We can get into this later that
Yeah.
you never stop thinking. If you stop thinking, the body's dead.
Hmm.
That's the,
Yeah, your mind is
that's
not
what the
alive.
brain does. It thinks. If the brain's not thinking, it's not, you're not alive.
Yeah.
So thoughts are always there. So what I discovered, because I was only my practice began with 5 minutes a day. That's all I have is a 5 minute practice of meditation, if we want to call it that. So basically, I was sitting in meditation, mind would start thinking. I'd be like, stop thinking, mind thinking, stop thinking, mind thinking, stop thinking. So this went on for about a week. I say about, 5, 6 days this went on. Then I'm like, wait a second here. I realize if I'm aware of my thoughts, I'm not my thoughts. So like, oh, I have thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. If I'm not my thoughts, who am I?
Yes.
So now I was sitting with that question now, like, okay, not my thoughts, then who am I? Now, this was a big revelation for me because I took all my thoughts as true. And I nearly killed myself twice in my 20s because I believed that inner voice that I wasn't good enough, that life was too difficult, too hard. So for me to have that epiphany, wait a second, thoughts are not the truth. It was really a big aha moment. Then even when I was seeing my psychiatrist for 17, 18 years, he never once said to me, why are you taking your thoughts as truth?
Love that. Because I also struggled with mental health issues and I never got told that either. And my story, that was very similar to what happened to me with me realizing that I'm not my thoughts. Um, and then you realize you can actually change them to actually benefit you. So I'd love to know like your process after because the meditation was my process at the beginning because I had migraines too. And one day I was walking down the street and I went blind for 5 minutes and I had to like feel my way to my house. And I got onto my front door and I was crying like I'm blind. Um, and then I started to do hypnosis and meditation to cure my migraines. And they are. When I don't do it, meditation or hypnosis, they come back. So it's amazing. I love that you shared that. So I'd love to know your journey after that, what processes you took after the meditation.
Well, the big thing that I was sitting with now was, okay, I'm not my thoughts. Who am I? So now we're sitting 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. So I was sitting 10 minutes a day. And even today, my meditation practice is only 10 minutes. We're here for the human experience. Yes, I can sit for hours and hours in meditation, but
Mm.
I'm literally here for the human experience. So anyway, I was just sitting 5 minutes a day, twice a day, asking this question, who am I? So one evening after meditation, I simply heard a voice say, perfect spirit. I'm like, that's it. My spirit is perfect. It's simply the body and mind that are damaged. Then I had this deep knowing that all is well. All sense of fear about my health was simply gone. I knew it was all over at that point. I just, boom, it was over.
That must have been an incredible feeling to have that word
Yeah,
come into your head.
yeah, I just heard a voice just reminding us that everyone listening, and this makes no logic sense as well, that we're all perfect spirit, but we get so attached to this body and mind as us. Even, when I was going through these health ailments, I have bipolar, you know, I have multiple sclerosis. No, the body has that.
Not
These are body
you.
conditions, not me,
Yeah,
that the spirit itself is unaffected by the human experience.
yeah.
So
I
once I
truly believe that as well. I believe we're like a spirit in a body, not the other way around, you know? I love that. Sorry
Right,
for
but actually, if we want to get really technical, it's actually spirit is contained, the body is contained within spirit. Spirit is not within the body, it's actually outside the body. Consciousness and a
Mhm.
projection of consciousness is the body.
Yeah, I love that. It's like someone said to, I've done a video recently and I said, who are you? Are you the person who's thinking about eating the ice cream or are you the person that's eating the ice cream? And I go, well, it's none. You're the person who's watching you think about the ice cream and eating the ice cream. Like we're everywhere.
Right, we are everywhere, and that's the consciousness that we're all interconnected. There is no separation. So it was really, so once I knew that perfect spirit voice, and then it was like I just knew all was well, the best I can explain it was the mind got very quiet. It wasn't so loud and chattery at that point, and I just followed my intuitive voice. Go do this, go do that. Like one of the voices was the way you can tell the intuitive voice versus the mental voice, it's very specific. Do this, do that with no justification.
Mm.
So I had the voice was telling me, do yoga. Of course, my mind was protesting, you're not flexible, your balance is horrible, you can't do yoga. But I ignored that mental voice and followed that deeper voice within me. So I did yoga. Then when I was doing yoga, 6 months of doing yoga, I no longer needed my cane. My balance was fine. Everything was coming back online after that I heard that voice. And I just had these knowings that to go do this, even when I was tapering off my medications and things of that nature. I just was following my inner muse, I guess you could call it, this inner voice of doing this, doing that. And then, by end of November, within like about 15, 16 months, I was no longer in medicine. I had absolutely no symptoms of anything, no cane, no nothing. So I canceled most of my doctor's appointment, but I made an appointment with my multiple sclerosis neurologist because I actually had two neurologists, one for my migraines, one for the
Yeah,
MS.
I had one for my migraines as well.
So I had two specific, you know, neurology doctors. So I made this last appointment with him. So before I did that, we did all the tests. So I did the scans, the blood work, all of this stuff, so he can just see what's going on. So I walked in his office like, well, your scans are clean. Your blood work is better than my blood work. And he did my physical examination. He's like, only thing I see within you is a non-specific hand tremor that everyone has. Then for the next 45 minutes, he tried to quantify what I did.
What did he come up with?
Nothing. All he wrote on my slip was MS remission.
Wow, that is incredible. How much do you put it down to mindset, or do you put it the power of the mind to get better, or do you put it down to the processes that you went along?
Well, I usually see the mind as filled with mental interference. It's really noisy, it's blocking our deeper essence. So what I really prefer is to remind individuals that we are greater than our thoughts
Yeah.
and we need to go deeper. We really need to remember who we really are. That's really where it begins. Once we know ourselves, who we truly are, then the mind no longer controls us and pulls us all over the place. It can be more used as a tool to say, okay, this is what I need to do, and the mind will go execute those instructions.
Love that. But I remember when I started on my journey, I started telling my mind off a lot. Going, no, I'm not doing that. Did you ever have moments like that where you started to notice your old mindset coming back in?
No, actually,
No,
after I heard that voice, no, like I said, when I heard that voice, the mind grew instantly quiet. It was like
instant.
boom. Yeah, it was like I no longer took my mind as a source of truth at that point.
Good. I wish
It,
more people would do that to
yes,
understand that it's not the mind. You're not your mind.
right. Your mind
Mhm.
is a tool, and yeah, the power of a mind is very important too. The words that we speak and things like that are very important because where the mind goes, the body will follow.
Yes, I really believe that. I believe that that it's connected. We're all connected. So the mind is like it's an instrument. The body is an instrument of the mind. So I was talking to someone recently who was sick, and they was going, I'm so sick. I'm so sick." I'm like, "Why do you think you're sick? Because you keep saying I'm so sick. Of course you're going to be sick." And even today, I was going to Zumba class, which is getting out of my comfort zone thing. And I went, and I was like, "I'm so tired. I'm so tired." And I got there, and I felt tired, and I was like, you need to stop with the mind talking at you. And then I was like, you're not tired. I am energetic.
Right, because the mind's always looking for an excuse not to do something.
Okay, so they're lazy. It's the most laziest thing. It wants to get you out of something.
Right, it wants to keep you comfortable.
Yes. I was writing a book at the moment and I wrote about this. I feel like the mind is like a video game. Like I got a video game bar and it's like it's getting smaller and smaller and your mind is like, I want to do as much as I can with the least amount of energy.
Right. Well, that's what the mind does. The mind is trying to conserve energy. It literally is. So it wants to do things that are already built into the programming. Because when it's following the programming, there's not much energy expended. When you're going a new direction, we're churning energy.
And he thinks that you're going to lose it and that you might die, but we're not going
Yeah,
to
yeah, we are consciousness. We will continue.
die. So after your journey, what would you say that you learn along the way? Any good big lessons that you can share with us?
Well, the biggest lesson is to realize, we are greater than our truths, that the mind is not speaking truth. It's speaking an opinion based on past experience or based on past programming or past experiences. It's always taking something from the past and dragging it into the present and trying to correlate it to something in the present. It's not helpful. So
Yeah.
it's really about learning that. And I also understand too when my mind was thinking, I was inquiring, who am I? Now, when the mind would start thinking, I'd be like, where are my feet? I was always coming back into the present moment. So that was my practice too, was so it's all about the power of now, being in this moment. So you can be the conscious creator of your life, you could say. Because if we're not aware of this moment, we're just lost in thoughts and
Mhm.
life goes all over the place. And we wonder, why is my life like this?
Yeah, I love that. I like to say to someone if they've got a problem to explain it without using the past or the present, not the past or the future, sorry. And if you can explain it without saying anything about the future or anything from the past, then you have a problem. And they sit for ages deciding do they have a problem? Because in the now, there is no problem.
Right,
We're only worrying about the future or the past.
right.
If something
It's like,
happened before, we're going to think it's going to happen again. Or so if you stay in the now, it does actually make you a happier person, I believe.
yeah. Well, that's our natural state of being because there's no mind creating conditions. I can't be happy because of this, because of this. This is so terrible. And all these stories that we get into.
Oh, I love that. Is there any practices that you do every day that you couldn't not do?
No, well, my basic practice today is just, I sit for meditation, 10 minutes of just being still. But I've actually sat for hours before. I'm like, okay, there's no point to this. I can always go back to the spiritual realm and sit for hours. I'm here for the human experience, so I don't sit for very long. It's not needed.
Mhm.
And that's why I tell people you don't need to sit for too long. Once you're able to keep yourself here in this moment, that's fine. One of the biggest things that people make a mistake of is that they sit meditation for 20, 30 minutes and they're not really here. They're just entertaining the thoughts. So it's really 10 minutes of just staying present. But
Mhm.
most people are sitting for a long time and not realizing they're caught up in
Yeah.
the story.
A lot of people believe that they have to do meditation that way as well, instead of, being aware of what's going on around you or your senses and things that you can just bring you back to now. So yeah, it
Right.
doesn't have to be that long. I like that it's shorter, that you can do shorter practices because we're all busy. We all got lives to lead.
Yeah. Yeah, if
Um,
you did 30 seconds, a minute a day of just learning presence, that will help because every time you're putting a gap into the thought stream by mind thinking, present moment, mind thinking, present moment, you're putting more gaps into the thought stream. The more gaps, the more inner peace.
love that. So after your journey, obviously recovering yourself and using all these techniques, what do you do now that's different than you used to do? Like in business or yeah.
Everything, life is completely flipped from living, a life in the mind to living a life without the mind. Now I just, help individuals, get out of this by teaching them to be in this moment. And then when I can really sit with them in this moment, I can sort of take an energetic eraser to their belief system and really it's really hard to explain what I do because I never had a spiritual teacher. I never had a mentor guide. It was like all following this intuition. So when I'm sitting with someone, best I can explain it is I'm blending with their spirit, their soul, and we're coming together. And I can get a sense, a feel for what they're going through. And sometimes I get a real feel what they're going through. If they're in pain, I will feel that pain. Like, oh, okay, you're having this pain. So then I address it within myself and it clears it with them.
It sounds like you're very intuitive, which is the greatest skill that people don't realize that everybody has.
Yeah.
Um, and it's so powerful when you work with people like that and you can feel it from them because you can give so much more change to somebody if you can feel it. Is there anything that you use to try and get better at understanding your intuition?
Well, it's just a practice. It's what life is basically one big practice. And the more you tap in and tune in, the more familiar with you get with it, and the more you can relax and allow the energy through and not resist it, not protest it. Because once again, it's this mental interference. It's always a practice of relaxing the mind and being a conduit for spirit.
Yeah, I love that. So in your business now, so are you helping individual people? Are you helping corporate people?
Well, I help individuals and I also have my group program. It's really the Vibrant Soul Society, reminding people that we are a vibrant soul. We're not
Vibrant soul.
we're all this light. We're all light. And one of the big things that drives me crazy is when people say dark night of the soul. I'm like, no, the soul never goes dark. It's just the mind filled with darkness that where you can't see your light,
Yeah.
but the light itself is always there.
Yeah, well, that's what well, we all we are is light and energy, right?
Yeah, your light cannot go dark. No one can extinguish your light, so it's
Nope.
impossible for it to go dark. Basically, it's the darkness from the mind.
I love that you're doing that because having a groups because I believe truly believe that if you connect a few people together, two people, you create a third mind almost. So vibration and being in a collectiveness must be really powerful.
Yeah, and typically the experience I really wanted to take out of it when most people in the group say I felt at peace. I felt very relaxed. I'm like, good. That's you. That's who you really are, relaxed at peace. Even people that have been meditating for a very long time will say, I never felt a peace like that before.
Oh, that's amazing feedback. You must love it.
Yeah, because I know that I'm rooting them into who they really are. There's no
Mm.
mental interference. When I know they're feeling that deep, deep peace, the mind's not in the way.
Wow.
And
It's the main question that I have in my book, and I ask everybody when I meet them is instead of like what you do, I always ask, who are you?
I'm perfect spirit.
See, I say I'm perfect too.
Yeah, or people don't like the word perfect, pure spirit.
Yeah.
That's who we are. We are pure spirit.
hmm Or some people, I had different answers actually. Some people said, I'm anything. I can be anything, which I like as well because it means that they're not holding to their beliefs.
Right. And I had some really weird experiences too that we are actually everything. I went into this one state after my healing where wherever I looked, there I was. The really deep state of samadhi. There was no separation. It was very hard to function. When this was going on for about 2 weeks. So when I was driving my car, I was the car.
Oh,
When I was eating, I was the food. It was really bizarre, surreal world where I saw no separation. I saw the complete illusion that everything is interconnected because I was conscious of that self. And I see I'm expressing myself in all things.
wow. That must be a bit freaky at first to be the car and to be everything.
Yeah, it was really difficult to function for those 2 weeks, but fortunately I got some separation back so I can at least function a little better.
Oh,
But
good.
it's really, I had some really odd experiences. Like after my experience, things aren't really solid to me anymore. Everything has a shimmer or vibration to me now.
Yes. Well, even science proves that everything is vibrating. So
Yeah.
that makes sense, to be honest.
Yeah. So now it's just weird now because people look different to me. Everything's vibrating at different frequencies, like your hair and your face are vibrating different. Well, not on the screen because it's all one vibration, but
Yeah.
if I saw it in your reel, it looks like people are wearing wigs. The glasses are different vibrations. It's really weird looking.
Wow. And it's going to be a question. Do you think that the voice is guidance from above?
We are that. There is no separation. There is no above, there's no below. It's all one thing.
So the voice that you heard that day that said that to you, do you think it was sort of God voice or
It's just my own spirit.
your own
The
spirit?
mind wants to get into the separation that there's something greater than out there than me. And we're like, no, we are part of that greatness. So there is no separation. And we need to get off these pedestals that there's above and below, that we're all equal in the divine.
Yeah, that's incredible. Um, what would be, well, I've got a lady that I know who's a friend of mine, very dear, and she's going through cancer diagnosis right now. What would you advise her to do to feel
Yeah.
better?
Yeah, I've worked with people with cancer before, and it's really what I do for this person. Well, if a friend, I got one story that's really profound with cancer
Mhm.
was I got a call from a friend of a friend saying, "Hey, I got this friend in the hospital. You can go visit her. Can you go visit her?" And like, yeah, I'll make some time and I'll go see her. So I saw her in the hospital. When I saw her, I can just look at people and say, "Oh, she's literally a few days away from leaving." I saw like it was stage 4 cancer, metastasized throughout her body. She's in really, really dire shape. So, but I know one of the things that she really wanted to accomplish was to see her son graduate high school.
Yeah.
So I sat with her for 90 minutes, and the way she explained, she gave me feedback afterwards, and maybe years afterwards, that when I was sitting with her, she just saw this golden energy just weaving through the body.
Wow. So
So I
she
was
saw
sitting
energy
there just,
going through her own body.
yeah, she says, whenever I close my eyes, I just see this golden energy just flowing through my body. So, so I only sat with her for 90 minutes. That was it, and she lived for another 5 years. She was able to get out of the hospital, see her son graduate. But when her son graduated, she's like, "All right, I'm
I'm
done."
out.
Yep.
That is amazing. You must feel very like incredible to be able to bring that to somebody.
Well, that's my whole practice is being a conduit for spirit, that nothing is impossible for spirit.
Mhm.
We keep forgetting that, miracles happen when we're in spirit. That's our natural state of being. If miracles are not happening in your life, it's because of the mental interference. It's a mind blocking spirit. Spirit saying, do this, do that, and we're going to lead you to your miracle. And most people get that voice like, oh no, I couldn't do that. Like yoga. No, there's no way I could do yoga, but you
Yeah.
do it anyway. You keep persevering because I would fall over a lot in yoga and stuff,
Oh, me too.
but I didn't get discouraged. Like I know this is what I must do. So
Mm.
I stayed with it, and you have to be very, very persistent, because the spirit's going to give you something that's going to be very difficult to do, perhaps, especially if you're dealing with a very significant health challenge. I
Yeah.
mean, plus if you're sick and disabled for 38 years, it's really going to give you some
A lot of
interesting.
programming, right? Still from before to get past to think that you can get better.
Right. And that's the whole thing is that we just need to let go of this mental interference and realize stop allowing the thoughts to define you because they don't have to define you. And there's a lot of people that have these belief systems that even if 10,000 people out there or 1 million people will tell you that multiple sclerosis is incurable. Well, why is that true for you?
Yes.
Why is that your truth? It's a temporary condition because this body is temporary. It's here one day and it's gone the next, but our consciousness, spirit remains. And I know this is really difficult for people to comprehend, but to look at your toddler body, your 9-year-old body, your
Yeah.
15-year-old body, your body that you have now, you had all these changing bodies throughout your life, thousands of different bodies.
Mhm.
But the one who sees through the eyes has never changed. And that's what we need to tap into.
Oh, I love that. That gave me goosebumps just then.
Yeah, that we get so attached to this body. So, okay, so if you're this body, so why are you not in your toddler body anymore?
Mm. Well, why you're not in your old age body yet?
Right. Yeah. So you're not that. It's your vessel for the human
So
experience.
what would you recommend for that person to do? So say if they're struggling now, would you recommend that they need to try and clear the mind of the trash, you call it, or the rubbish?
It's head trash. I call it the head
Head
trash. It's
trash.
all these bliss. Well, the first thing you need to do is start learning a presence practice.
Hmm.
Just start building that awareness of this moment. Because especially we're giving a really severe diagnosis, you're really in the mind playing the worst case scenario, the what if games, and you're not really here. Like most people watching this, are you realizing you're sitting right now, that your feet are on the floor?
I do now because you said it.
Well, so I'm saying most of the time we're engaged in here. We're not aware of this moment. And I don't know if you ever watched like the Dalai Lama. If
No.
you ever look at the Dalai Lama, he's constantly touching things. When I watched him, he's constantly touching things. I thought that was so interesting. I'm not even sure if he's aware of it, but I just notice his behavior. It's like he's always,
That's so interesting. Do you think he's doing that to feel the moment?
Now, I don't know if he's even aware of it, but it's a good way of that he's keeping himself grounded in this moment. He not even be aware of it that he's doing that, or he could be very aware of it that I want to really stay present with people. So he's constantly touching people, he's constantly touching things. He's always
I'm gonna be watching for that now.
when I was watching his videos, and I was really noticed, like, well, even if he's speaking on a lectern, he's constantly touching that, or his papers, or something. He's rarely standing still. But it was really when he was out with people, he's constantly touching them. He's constantly engaging. He's really very tactile, and I thought that was very interesting watching him.
It really is. I'm gonna definitely go and watch that now, just to notice. I wanted to talk to you a bit about, well, normal medicine and science, because I do hypnosis, and obviously with hypnosis you can use the power of your mind to like reduce pain and
Hmm.
stuff. So when I first started training, I was in pain one day, and I decided to keep doing hypnosis to get rid of it because I was too busy to go to the doctor. And then after a few months, I got a really severe infection because I was using to block it out. I was using hypnosis to block it out.
Mm.
Sometimes, pain is telling you something.
Yeah, you
What's
can't
your
ignore the
thoughts?
pain.
Yeah, so what's your thoughts with that? Would you
Yeah,
think going to the doctor is needed at sometimes as
yeah,
well as?
absolutely. You might have the intuition that I need a little medicine, I need a little help. I'm not against doctors' medicine because sometimes the body needs some help,
Yeah.
some correction. But it's rather interesting when I'm working with pain, it just gives me an indication to where the pain is originating. Because
Yeah.
if I'm working with somebody that's like in a 9, 10 level pain, and I get them down to a 2, 3 level pain, I'm like, okay, there's a mental component here.
Hmm.
If somebody's in really a lot of pain and I can't take it from a nine, if I can't get it out of a 9, 10, and let's say if it's 9, 10 and it only goes down to a 7 or 8, I'm like, okay, there's something physically here within that person that
Oh,
needs corrected. But I can tell people that had these really horrible conditions, but they're in 10 level pain, I get them down to a 2. I'm like, there's a mental component here.
oh,
So
so is
I'm
it
gonna
two? You think is it the two is when you think it's mental?
Yeah, when I can go from a 10 to onto a 2, like really that's severe of a swing that I know there's a mental component. So I can clear that all away and I'll get the person and I'll say, keep doing this meditation. Because what you're going to find is your mind's going to say, oh, something is different here and pull it back. Oh, something is different here and pull it back. But eventually, if I give them these channeled meditations, listen to this every day so we can keep pulling this out of the mind because it's going to keep dragging that back because it's serving you in some way. The mind thinks it's helpful, it's a service.
Yeah.
There's some kind of belief that's not supporting you. Let's do that. But there's other weird things I can do. If somebody is going from a 10 level pain to a 7, and I said, okay, there's something physical here. Well, then it gets even more weird. I'll call them the doctors in the spiritual realms forward.
Oh, and how would you do that?
I can't really explain it. I worked with a Peruvian shaman, my early days when I was trying to figure out, my gifts, my abilities or whatever. I just ran into this Peruvian shaman and I was telling him what I was doing. He's like, oh, let me teach you how to call in the doctors from the spiritual realms.
Oh, I want to do that. I might put that in my hypnotherapy now. Let's call in the doctor.
Yeah, and they'll actually experience being in touch, people walking around them, hearing voices. They'll actually feel the presence. And it's really interesting because somebody called me up to schedule an appointment. They're like, I'm scheduled for knee surgery. I really don't want to have knee surgery. We did one session. She doesn't need knee surgery.
See, I've heard that a lot about knee and hips and a lot of people with back pain I get that can actually be from the mind.
Yeah, but
Oh.
this was interesting. When I called the doctors from the spiritual realm, this one doctor gave me his name. And
Oh.
that's not usual. So and this woman was probably like 65, 70, and I said, do you know this doctor? She's like, oh, that was my childhood doctor.
No way.
It was like a really unusual name, like, because I'll engage. I won't be in my complete trance state, and I'll ask him like, I'm seeing this doctor. Does this mean anything to you? And
Wow.
she's like, that's my childhood doctor. And that's when I'm engaging with people too, when I'm working on that physical stuff. because I'm really directing that consciousness and the team the best way I can explain it to spiritual doctors. So I always ask, is it better, the same, or worse? Give me that direct feedback, and so we can guide this energy or whatever needs to be done, and we can take care of that and clear it. And it's pretty amazing the results that I
Sounds
get. And
me.
it's not me though. It's I'm really in this deep trance state,
So
but I'm able to
how do you get
direct
into
that.
that
And
trance state? Is it like you meditate into trance state or you just feel the presence?
I can get there instantly now. I can just drop in,
Yeah,
tune in.
a bit with hypnosis. Like if someone goes, close your eyes, I'm like, I'm gone.
Yeah, I can get into that space pretty quickly now. If I'm doing a pretty big group or somebody's pretty intense with a lot of difficulties and pain, it could take me a little bit, like maybe 20, 30 seconds to really blend with them, to really understand. And sometimes I don't recommend this when I did this recently from a group, a group healing practice where I just reached out to everyone. So of all of these past life injuries that they were bringing into this moment. So I was working on that aspect because I was starting to see, well, as I'm evolving in my healing, it's interesting because you have to realize everything existing now, the past, the present, the future is all in this moment.
Yeah.
So if you have a previous human experiences like reincarnation, and something happened to you in that so-called past life, it can be brought forward into this life. Timelines can cross over. So now they have me doing timeline healing.
Yes.
So
I do timelines actually as
yeah,
well.
so I'm doing the timeline healing for the group, and like, wow, I just felt like somebody got a spear in the back, somebody got a cannonball in the head, somebody was shot in the knee. It was like feeling all of this stuff,
Pain
and
at once.
it was like a magnet to all of this. Like, all right, let's clear this stuff out.
Do you feel the actual pain as well when you're
Oh
doing?
yeah, I felt like somebody stabbed me in the back with a spear.
Oh my God.
I mean, I really, really blend in deep with this energy.
Incredible. I want to find out even more about all those experiences.
But before, initially, I would resist that stuff. But then it made it very difficult to clear. If I have that direct experience, I'm like, okay, there's no more back pain. I cleared that. There's no more knee pain. I cleared that. There's no more head pain. I cleared that.
And do you only do it in person or can people do it with you like on a Zoom call like this?
No, I do it in the group. It's not, it's a virtual group. It's not, we're not here in person
That's
because there's no time and space. We're all interconnected. So I'm literally blending with somebody in Indonesia, somebody in California, somebody in Oregon. It's like we're all coming together.
good question. Do you ever get any different languages?
I have in the past.
Yeah.
I have. I've gotten some really weird word. I'm like, what does this word mean? What is this? What is this word that I keep hearing? I have to Google it and figure things out. But once in a while, not too often, sometimes I'll just say, I don't speak this language. Give it to me in English.
Oh, yeah. It's a good one. That's incredible. So say if someone was like really sick now and they could like contact you and do like a Zoom call or online and you could help them.
Yeah. And it really depends where they are. Sometimes the cases are a little more difficult, a little more. No, sometimes it's instant, and sometimes like an onion, where you're just peeling the layers off. Or I like to say it's like baking a cake. Sometimes it's very quick, and sometimes it takes a little bit of process.
Yeah. I guess it depends
Especially,
how much they hold on to from the past and the mind, I guess, and their belief
right?
about
Yeah,
things.
like if I take somebody from a 10 to 2, and the next day it's back, I'm like, okay, do that meditation. Your mind said, there's something missing here. I'm not having any pain today, any discomfort, and it
Yes. See, also
brings.
because I always find that your mind is always like ready to get back what it lost.
Yeah, and the
No,
mind does not like change. The
no.
mind will resist change.
I find this like when you go on diets and things and then you lose weight and then that week you'll put it back on again because
Yeah,
like you're almost tuned to get back what you've lost.
yeah.
And the
'Cause
same is true like with money beliefs and stuff that I find when you try to make more money, you get to a certain point and then you kind of lose it to get back.
Yeah, it's because it's just the vibration that we're
Yeah.
holding, and we get locked into those patterns of being and things of that nature. But it's really about just being who we are and really trusting your own guidance. And that's the big thing too, is getting to trust yourself. We've always been taught not to trust yourself, that we don't know what is best for us. So I always try to root people back to who they are and then say, find your recipe. Stop looking outside for your recipe. Go within and find your way that works for you. You got to let go of all these things that you've heard out there. They're not your truth. They're not your recipe. They may work to a certain extent, but they're not going to be the full picture. So you get to pick and choose and blend it together that you are the cook, and you got to figure out your recipe. You got all these ingredients, and you got to figure out what works for you. So
Sometimes
my
I believe, when you're going through, I guess, cancer and things like that, is that you may feel like you're going to get better, but other people will project their stuff on you again,
right, and
saying,
that's
you've got stage four, how are you going to be okay? And that would be
yeah,
hard to
uh,
take
uh,
too.
that's really strong too. Is when you're around people that are worried, anxious, that has a direct impact onto you. It's not a helpful, supportive energy. It
Yeah.
really isn't. So it's like I really want people to stand in their own spiritual sovereignty so they're not impacted by the energies around them. So I
Hmm.
really try to do that as well, get them rooted into them so they're not influenced by other energies.
Yes. So what do you think we could do now, like every day to stay true to ourselves? What would you recommend?
Once again, it's just about learning to be present. It all starts with being present. If you're not present, then you're not here in this moment, and all your power is right here, right now. When you're future guessing, when you're dwelling in the past, you're at your weakest. And if you keep dwelling in the past, you're going to weaken your immune system because you're not here in this moment. And that's what I see too, people with autoimmune diseases, because I had three of them myself.
Yes.
There's always an element of self-criticism within those individuals, that they don't measure up, that they're not good enough. They freak out when they see themselves in the mirror. They're always critical of themselves in the mirror. I mean, this even little subtle things like, oh, my hair doesn't look right today.
Yes. I believe this so much. Do you believe that it's all down to self-love? Because I
Yeah,
feel
well,
like whenever I work with clients, if I get them to see that they're lovable and that they're worth it and they're enough, that so much changes, like their skin conditions change, their IBS changes. You can change so much with the power of just self-love and looking yourself in the eyes and saying, I love you. It's
yeah, that can,
incredible.
and for some that may be really challenging if the beliefs are very strong. So it might be just starting with self-acceptance first. If they can't go quite the love, you got to find that step for them. Because if you took somebody like me who's sick for 38 years, I had all these crazy belief systems, and the one thing that got me out of that was just learning to be present and to understand I wasn't my thoughts. And once you're present, you can see your thoughts. You can become aware of your thoughts. If you're aware of your thoughts, then you know you're not your thoughts. Because you can't see, you wouldn't be able to see your thoughts if you were your thoughts. It's like you are consciousness, but you can't see consciousness.
Yeah. Love that. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us. It's incredible. I could probably ask you about a million questions all day long. I would love to know all your experiences and stuff.
Oh,
But
I have many, many trippy
I
experiences.
know it sounds it. I can't wait to hear. Um, but before we finish, I'd like to see what your words of wisdom, if you had words of wisdom that you could put into someone's mind to prime it, what would be like the one thing that you'd want someone to put into their mind today? I've got a feeling I know what it is, but
No. If you really want something to ask yourself, say, just simply ask yourself, why is this true?
why is this true? So maybe everyone can sit with that today, that question, and ask
Yeah,
themselves, why is it true?
right. To be more curious. We're typically taking things at face values and then not asking this deeper question. Why is bipolar incurable? Why is that true?
Yes.
Why is multiple sclerosis incurable? Why is that true? Oh, because so and so told me in all these thousands of articles.
Hmm.
But why is that true for you?
Yeah, that is incredible. Because I just truly believe that you can heal yourself. And when you cut your hand and it's bleeding and you go to the doctor puts like a plaster on it or a bandage, and then you're the one who's healing it. Your body is healing you. and you're in control of your body with your mind. So,
Yeah. It's just probably up an interesting example too. If you give yourself a paper cut on your finger and you let it be, it will heal by itself. But if you focus on that paper cut, it will become infected. If you keep focusing on it like heal, why is the thing not healing and you're really obsessed about your paper cut, it will become infected.
really, it
Yeah.
makes so much sense. But now I'm going to
It's
start
mental
killing myself.
interference because it's mental interference. Body knows naturally how to heal the paper cut, but you're giving it attention that there's something wrong with my finger. So that's going to create a reality that there is something wrong with your finger.
That's so funny because you know when little kids like get a paper cut or like something really small and they go on about it all day, like it's hurting, and then it ends up, and we're looking at them going, it's a paper cut. But it does, it starts to get worse for them anyway.
Right. But if you just let it be, and that's where it really works if well, mom say, "Oh, let me kiss it and make it better for you." And that might be enough for them just to re give them the reassurance that it's going to be okay.
Oh, is it better?
Yeah. I
Oh,
mean, just acknowledge it, give them attention that it's going to be okay and reassure them that, we've really obsessed about things. We create a reality that doesn't serve us. So I think that's one of the skills that we are losing in societies, the skill of curiosity to
yeah.
ask, why is this true?
I think we should all ask that about everything. I think you should challenge everything in your life, every belief you hold. Ask why you got it, where you came from, why is it true? If beliefs were true, they'd be called truths.
Right. They're not, they're called beliefs.
Yeah, because even like when you're a kid and you believe like in Santa, right? You know he's not true now, but you believed
It's
him, and
not.
yeah, which goes to show, don't tell anyone, but it goes to show, right, that you can have a belief that you had, and you can change any belief.
Yeah, because beliefs are pliable. They're not fixed. They're changeable. There's something that you believed at 10 years old that you don't believe today.
Yes. And what's incredible is that your subconscious mind has like started these beliefs at about 8 years old anyway. So you're
Yeah.
like an 8-year-old running through your mind with scissors and thinking it's okay. That's why I really want people to challenge anything that they hold about themselves.
Yeah, we might not be aware of that programming. When I blended with somebody that was in their 30s having relationship issues, I
Oh,
was like, why am I seeing this image at 6 years old? And I described the image of what was going on. She's like, oh, we just moved to the area and I couldn't participate in a dance recital.
yeah,
Ah, so you don't feel like you're good enough.
yeah. It's incredible where it comes from. Um, there was a lady who came to me in and she had insomnia, and we was working through, and I got her to keep a diary of the nights she was asleep. And it turned out that she couldn't sleep on the nights when her husband wasn't there because when she was a kid, she had a memory of a kid and her saying to herself, "I'm not safe till daddy's home." And
Hmm,
now they had kids. The husband became the dad in her mind.
right.
So she wasn't safe till daddy was home. And she couldn't believe it was from the same silly belief that she had from when she was like little, that it just
Yeah.
stacks on top of each other.
Yeah, it's really incredible, these old beliefs, this old programming that we have that absolutely does not serve us. But
Yeah,
until we build that awareness and that curiosity, it is hard to
yeah. 'Cause
change
I
them.
know they say curiosity did kill the cat, but it didn't.
Right. Because
Even
that
today,
belief system becomes a blind spot that we're not aware of it. We can't see it till we start to question
do
and
it.
dive deeper.
Yeah, because like today when I went to Zumba because I have a belief system that I can't dance. So I'm going to Zumba just to challenge it and to be curious about it.
Yeah, but if you hired a dance instructor and you practiced every day,
Yeah,
within a year, you'll be a very, very skilled dancer.
I'll share the video when I can dance.
Actually, yeah, if you really set out to become a dancer and really made it a daily practice,
Yeah.
in a year you would be a fantastic dancer.
See, this is the thing. You forget that what you can do in a year if you commit just a small little time to it
Right,
and challenge your beliefs and live with curiosity and an open mind.
right. Well, that's another challenge too, is an open mind, because that belief system really can make you not open and really closed-minded, not see another perspective, another way forward.
Yes. Perspective is all about perspective.
Yeah,
About seeing it from a different way. And that's the challenge that most people find, especially when they talk about miracles or healing. They can't see it a lot of the time because of their beliefs that they had from when they were kids or from their parents that life is a certain way. So,
yeah. I tell people is don't focus on healing. Don't try to heal yourself. There's
Hmm.
probably something too big in
Just
the
be
way.
like,
Just
no, it's already done.
yeah, just realize your spirit's not touched by it. Your spirit knows exactly how to get around that situation. So it's really about building that awareness. Focus on inner peace. Inner peace will transform everything.
Yeah. I found that as well when I found my inner peace and with the meditation when I was suffering with PTSD and I found inner peace, that changed everything for me.
Because you are inner peace.
Yeah, to know that you can just be and be in at any time
Yeah.
instead of worrying about things that don't need to be worried about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Just to relax. The hardest thing for us to do is just to relax and just connect to who we are. Because we're so used to all the distractions, all the noise.
Mhm.
Most people cannot sit quietly.
It's actually hard to do. I done a challenge with people to sit and do nothing and just to sit in a room by themselves. And I swear they don't even get to a couple of minutes before they start looking for something to do. Their mind attacks them straight away. Within seconds, their mind's jumped in to talk to them.
Right. You just have to come back to where are your feet, where are your hands,
Yep,
where
and
are you
breath.
sitting with you here, and just really engage in this moment. But yeah, so I was able to sit 5 minutes a day. It wasn't very long, and it transformed my whole life to
Mhm.
see that I wasn't my thoughts. And that was, once again, such a huge epiphany for me. And the psychiatrist never said one word to me, but like, why are your thoughts true?
Yes. So I would like to leave that with everyone today. Why are your thoughts true? Because I had CBT, I had therapy too, and they never showed that with me either. So sometimes we have the answers to our questions.
We have all the answers. You are the answer you
Oh,
seek.
yes. So ask yourself a few questions.
Because remember that the spirit within us is connected to all things, and the universe is billions upon billions of years old. There's something out there. Like nothing's new to spirit. It has experienced everything.
Mhm.
So it's just a matter of getting quiet. And a good example of this, if you ever watch Eckhart Tolle, when he's taking questions from the audience, he reads them off of an index card and he's like, oh, that's a very good question. I'd like to know the answer too. And he'll get quiet for a second. And then he'll talk for about 10 minutes about it. Well, something he knew nothing about.
Oh, I haven't seen that bit. I haven't seen that interview. I'm gonna have a look.
Now, when he
Maybe
does
it's me
Q&As
talking.
with the audience,
Yeah.
once in a while he'll say, sometimes, well, I don't know, he doesn't do this much, but once in a while he'll say, once in a rare while, he will say this. That's a good question. I would like to know the answer too.
Mm, I love that.
Because he knows he's connected to all things. And people have asked me the weirdest questions I had absolutely no clue about. I just get quiet and I just see what comes and I
Yeah, and people
just
don't
share it.
trust what comes because I was in I'm part of Mind Valley, so I'm a Mind Valley coach as well. And we were doing a coaching weekend, so we had a room full of like 500 people, and we had to sit next to a stranger, or circle the stranger, put your hand on them, listen for guidance, listen to words or whatever, and then we'd have to say something to that person in their ear and whisper it. And I was doing it and I just heard words and I said it to the person. And afterwards, when they came back, they was like, I can't believe you just said that. And I was like, why? And she said, because you said your heart needs help. And she just found out she had a heart condition that day. And then I said something like, but it's all okay. It's going to be fine.
Mhm.
And it was, I don't know where it came from, but it came just in the moment of silence and connection.
Yeah, because we are spirit. All the answers are within us. So we are the answers we seek. And sometimes we need some tools, some aids, some helpers outside of us. We need a prescription. We need a bone fix if we broke our arm. We do need some attention, but and I had a really weird experience. I'll just share this one weird experience because I didn't understand it. At 6 years old, when I was hit by a van,
Mhm.
I was really, really bad shape. So what I remember though, in the middle of the night, I just remembered people removing my tubes, my life support.
Oh,
And then I opened my eyes. I saw three silhouettes on each side of me. Then it went black. But I distinctly remember in the morning my mom asking me, why'd you remove your tubes? Why'd you remove your life support? She didn't step back and say, he couldn't have done this. So
oh.
I later learned this visitation, whatever we want to call it. I later learned when I inquired about that when I was healthy and I sat with that, they were trying to show me that You don't need the outside world. You can heal yourself,
Oh, you don't need the tubes. You don't need the life support.
right? That I
Oh,
have everything within me.
that's an incredible story. And it's true. We do have
Yeah,
it all within. I had
it's
experience when I was a kid and I got electrocuted. Um, and I had something similar with like images and it was so strange. I still can't explain it, but I felt that ever since that I've been connected to people in a better way.
yeah, it's just the universe is always delivering something and we may not understand, but there's no mistakes. So
Mm,
the universe is trying to instill something within us, and
yeah.
it's really hard to say with these who these beings were and what they were doing. But my wife thinks that they were endowing me with a program. So one day when I would discover I didn't have thoughts, so everything would just
Yeah.
click into place. But I'm not really sure because we're all spirit. I think it's just a reminder that we all have amazing abilities within us if we can just relax and trust ourselves
Yes.
that we are spirit itself, and everything you see is a creation of spirit.
Mhm. Oh, thank you so much. I loved having you on. I could talk to you all day. I think I may talk to you another time all day.
Yeah, and I want to get you on my podcast as well.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to. So, everyone who's listening, I would like you to connect today to the Miracle Man, Baba Sam. Where did the name Baba Sam come?
I was just sitting with spirit one day, and it was like I got the name Baba. Baba basically means self-realized teacher.
I thought it was teacher, yeah. So I thought,
So Baba is a teacher, so I was like just sitting quietly one day, and it's like I just heard the name Baba when I decided to create this beyond head trash business. That's my business. So we want to go beyond the head trash
yeah,
and step into our vibrant soul.
because it connected to me because that's what I call one of my sons. And I was like, and I was hoping when I introduced you that I wouldn't call you his name because I call him Baba Kieran. And I was like, please don't let me call him. But it's been a pleasure to have you on, and I want everyone to connect with you, and I'll show you links and everything.
All
Um,
right, it sounds great.
and I loved having you on, and I can't wait to hear more all about you. And to everyone who's listening, to remember to stay curious, ask questions, and you are perfect exactly as you are.
Yes, absolutely. We are perfect.
Any
Just
last
relax.
words?
Just relax and trust yourself. Deeply relax and just trust yourself. And then question, why is this true?
No, love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.